All right, let's unpack this. Prague.
Mm-hmm.
Say the name, and immediately your brain conjures up those, spectacular images. The Gothic spires, the misty morning over the Vltava River, the statues lining the Charles Bridge, and of course,
The cheap beer.
the promise of legendary world-class dirt cheap beer. It sits on nearly every European traveler's essential list for a reason.
It really is the ultimate Central European fairy tale city. But, and this is the critical piece of information we have to establish right at the start.
Okay.
If you are planning a trip to Prague in 2024 or beyond, and you're operating on the assumption of, say, 2010 prices or 2010 tourism density.
Which a lot of people are.
A lot of people are.
Yeah.
And you're heading for a significant budget shock and, honestly, potentially a huge disappointment.
Exactly. The old Prague is, in some ways, gone,
Yeah.
but the value of Prague remains, provided you have the current cheat codes. Our mission today is to give you that deep dive shortcut. We've analyzed the shift, the local reports, the economic data, the on-the-ground notes, and we are handing you the precise manual to maximize value and minimize stress.
Mm-hmm.
This city can still be incredibly kind to your wallet, but only if you know exactly where to eat, where to sleep, and which blue and yellow machines to absolutely unequivocally avoid.
We should probably set the scene with 3 immediate contrarian surprises. These are the aha moments that instantly debunk the popular myths you've likely seen online or heard from friends who visited a decade ago.
I like this.
These are the 3 facts that frame our entire deep dive strategy.
Okay, so the first one is a delicious lie that smells wonderful. The Tridelnik deception.
Ah, yes.
You've seen it, you've smelled it. That famous sweet chimney cake rolled in cinnamon sugar, often filled with Nutella or ice cream. It is marketed relentlessly as a traditional Czech street food essential.
It is not.
Not at all.
It's a very successful, very recent marketing invention designed entirely for tourists. The origins are actually closer to Hungary or Slovakia.
Wow.
And while it's perfectly fine as a sugary snack, if your goal is to consume authentic local culture and use your limited budget wisely, don't waste your calories or your cash on what amounts to a high-priced gimmick.
Okay, so look elsewhere for your street food fix.
Look elsewhere.
Surprise number 2 is critical to maintaining your sanity. The location paradox.
Mm-hmm.
The historical Old Town, Prague 1, is undeniably beautiful, but our sources strongly advise that staying there is the fastest way to kill the city's magic.
It is. You need distance to truly appreciate Prague. Prague 1 is now a performance stage, not a neighborhood. It's noisy, it's expensive, and it is constantly crowded.
So we're going to show you where to go instead.
We will show you exactly which quieter, better connected districts just 10 minutes away offer like 30% savings and genuine local life.
Then the third, and this one might be the most financially devastating mistake people make.
This is the big one.
Cash is still crucial for certain local transactions, but using the wrong ATM can cost you 10 to 20% of your total trip budget.
That's hundreds of dollars disappearing into thin air simply because you hit the wrong button or used the wrong machine. We consider this the #1 financial trap in the city.
Okay, but we have to acknowledge the major trade-off immediately, which all our sources stress relentlessly: over-tourism.
Yes. Prague is now a globally recognized destination, and in the central areas, especially near the astronomical clock or on the Charles Bridge midday, you will inevitably experience moments of genuine intensity.
It can feel like being part of a moving herd.
It's a good way to put it. You're just shuffling.
Right. That's the reality of a global hotspot in 2024. But despite that singular downside, our bold claim for this episode is confirmed. Prague is still currently the best value for money capital in Europe, hands down.
Okay.
If you employ the specific hacks we've uncovered, particularly regarding the subsidized lunch menus and the public transport system.
So, stick with us. By the end of this deep dive, we will conclude with a custom verdict for every traveler: the disciplined backpacker, the romantic couple, the logistics-heavy family, and the luxury traveler looking for an incredible deal.
We are going to make you an expert on how to conquer Prague without breaking the bank. Okay, let's move into segment 1, context and expectations. Before we get to the hacks, we need to ground ourselves in the reality of Prague today, moving past the mythology that still floods social media.
The mythology is incredibly powerful because Prague is so visually stunning. You see those high-resolution drone shots, the empty Charles Bridge at sunrise, the mist rolling off the Vltava River.
Yeah, the stuff that makes you book the ticket.
Exactly. It presents Prague as this perpetually quiet, deserted fairy tale kingdom. People book their trips based on that pristine vision.
And then they arrive, head straight for the Old Town Square at 11 a.m., and it's a culture shock.
It's a huge shock. The reality is sheer density. Prague is now statistically the fifth most visited city in all of Europe.
Fifth? Wow.
That level of popularity means intense concentration in the historical core. When you are in Prague 1, especially during the summer, you are often not walking, you are shuffling. And this leads directly to the discussion of the Disneyfication effect.
It's not just Prague, right? I mean, we're seeing this in Venice, Barcelona, Amsterdam.
It's a global travel trend.
The most concentrated historical core transitions into a museum district primarily for consumption. The center becomes less and less of a living, breathing city for its actual residents.
That's a crucial point. The shops start catering to quick, high-margin tourist sales, driving prices up and authenticity down. Prague is responding to these trends. We're seeing local movements and city council efforts trying to rein in the sheer volume of short-term rentals that have gutted the residential presence in Prague 1.
So the city is grappling with how to maintain its soul while being, I guess, loved to death by tourists.
That's exactly it.
So if the center is the performance stage, where is the backstage? Where's the real city?
That's the key to salvation for the savvy traveler. The real city still exists, robustly, just a few hundred meters away.
Literally just a few streets away.
Literally 3 streets away from the main tourist drag. Once you cross that imaginary line, when the shops stop selling 10-euro magnet sets and start selling local produce, the atmosphere changes, prices drop significantly, and the language shifts back overwhelmingly to Czech.
That's your signal.
That's your signal you found the real Prague.
Let's discuss the economic shifts that drove this change. People planning their budget still rely on that legendary memory of Prague being outrageously cheap. Why is that memory now actively sabotaging current planning?
It's the confluence of 2 very specific economic forces. First, look at the currency. While the Czech Republic uses the koruna, not the euro, its economy is heavily intertwined with the rest of Central Europe in the Eurozone.
Okay.
So the koruna has been subject to inflation and significant fluctuation against major currencies like the USD and the euro.
What caused that fluctuation?
Primarily geopolitical instability and the steep, aggressive inflation that swept Central Europe post-pandemic. The cost of basic utilities and imports just rose rapidly.
Right.
And on top of that, foreign investment, often in stronger currencies, drove real estate prices sky high. Suddenly, the local purchasing power parity just changed dramatically.
And the most famous manifestation of that change is beer, that legendary $1 pint.
It's a myth now, sadly. Clinging to it will ruin your budget. A few years ago, $1 was standard. Now that same high-quality half-liter of Pilsner or Quell will cost you $2.50 to $3 in a decent local pub.
And in the tourist center.
Easily $4 to $6 in a tourist bar near the square.
So we really need to recalibrate the mindset for the budget traveler. We are no longer visiting a bargain bin destination.
No.
But is that increase in price actually worth it? If it's more sophisticated, does that mean we've lost some of that raw, cheap energy that made Prague famous?
That's a fair challenge. The energy has shifted. It is now a premium European capital, but the value proposition remains superior because the quality of life, infrastructure, and historical offering are still world-class.
So you're getting a premium product.
You are visiting something that offers the historical weight of Rome and the architectural beauty of Paris, but at like a 50% discount on core expenses.
So the vibe is sophisticated, yes, but crucially, the local quality, especially the food and the beer, is protected by high Czech standards.
You just can't get that elsewhere at this price. The goal is not to travel cheaply, but to travel efficiently in a high-quality environment.
Right. Premium experience at a discount, not dirt cheap.
Precisely. And that new mindset helps you navigate the remaining factors, like the stag parties.
Oh yes, the stag parties.
They are still a factor, especially the noise pollution they generate in central areas late at night.
And that noise is a direct cost you pay if you choose to stay in Prague 1, which just reinforces the need for our location hack.
Absolutely. It's a risk managed by distance.
Okay, let's get logistical. Segment 2. Arrival and first impressions. You've just stepped off the plane at Václav Havel Airport. What is the immediate critical advice to save money and frustration?
Immediate transport advice. Do not use a taxi from the rank. Yeah. That is financial self-sabotage.
They're just waiting for you.
They are. Those drivers expect tourists and often rely on fixed, inflated prices. Likewise, resist the immediate urge to fire up Uber or Bolt unless you have a family or excessive luggage.
So you're just burning cash.
You're burning like $30 to $40 for a trip that has a cheap, elegant solution.
What's the elegant solution? The genius, simple hack.
It is the single best value transaction you will make in Prague. The 72-hour transport ticket.
Okay.
Look for the bright yellow kiosks in the arrival hall. This single ticket, costing about $15 US, grants you unlimited use of all buses, trams, and the metro for 3 full days.
That's an enormous logistical stress reliever, and it covers the bus transfer from the airport, right?
Yes, that's the beauty. You take the airport express bus, that's bus 119 or 100, directly to the nearest metro station, and then the metro takes you straight into the city center.
So you're leveraging their world-class infrastructure for minimal cost. And once you emerge from the metro, that's when the physical city hits you.
It really does.
Describe that first visual impact.
The architecture is overwhelming, but in a heavy, serious way. It is a seamless, dense mix of Gothic, that dark, soaring medieval style, and Baroque, the ornate, dramatic 17th century style.
It's different from, say, Rome.
Very different. It feels darker, moodier, and profoundly medieval. The sense of history is palpable because the city was largely spared the destruction of the world wars.
Which brings us to the mandatory cobblestone warning. This needs to be shouted from the rooftops.
It does. The density means narrow streets, and the ubiquity of the cobblestones is brutal. They are large, uneven, and relentless. I've seen multiple travelers with broken plastic suitcase wheels outside hotels.
So your standard rolling luggage is a liability here.
A huge liability.
So we're advising against the sleek, modern roller bags unless you are prepared to carry them half the time.
Mandatory advice. Invest in a sturdy travel backpack, or be prepared to lug that suitcase. If you don't heed this warning, you will spend your first hour fighting the terrain.
Yeah, that sounds miserable. Beyond the visual and the physical struggle, what about the sensory atmosphere? The smells?
Oh, it's incredibly evocative. In summers, you get that distinct, heavy mix. The sweetness of roasted ham or pork from the street rotisseries.
The ones we're going to tell you to avoid.
Yes, the very ones. The pervasive scent of brewing beer and the damp, cool smell of the Vltava River itself. In autumn or winter, it shifts. You get the sharp scent of coal smoke from older buildings mixing beautifully with the spice of Svaják, the local mulled wine.
That paints a picture, but let's address the immediate psychological hurdle. The crowd shock.
If your first move is to head straight for the astronomical clock at noon, the feeling can be overwhelming. It's a literal wall of people and selfie sticks.
Yeah.
The contrast between the moody, ancient history you expected and the modern commercial intensity of the crowd can be genuinely dispiriting. You might feel instantly that you've made a mistake.
I think that's why our sources stress getting away quickly, finding that quiet moment.
Yes. The suggested anecdote is to walk away from the square, head toward the river or a side street, find a quiet bench, and look up across the city.
And that's the moment it clicks.
That's it. When you see the sheer, sprawling historical dominance of the massive Prague castle complex perched high above the river, you realize the city's scale. The castle itself is a visual anchor that provides the necessary sense of permanence and grandeur.
Finally, the local interactions. We mentioned the service is efficient, not warm. I value efficiency, but if I'm dealing with jet lag and complicated currency, isn't that directness going to come across as cold or even rude?
That's a great question, and it speaks to traveler expectation. Yes, it can initially feel cold if you expect the theatrical warmth of American or Mediterranean service. Czech culture, generally speaking, values directness and professionalism over performative friendliness. They are efficient and accurate. If you receive your food quickly, your change correctly, and your drink promptly, that is considered good service.
So no small talk.
No small talk, no fake smiles.
So the advice is, don't take the lack of an effusive welcome personally. They're simply doing their job efficiently.
Exactly. Embrace the transactional nature of the interaction. It is often a relief, actually, not having to listen to a canned sales pitch. Now for segment 3, the budget breakdown. This is the deep dive into Prague value hacking, the quantifiable, actionable strategies.
And accommodation is the primary budget killer. If you stay in Prague 1, you will pay a premium that negates all other savings. Let's confirm our baseline costs for peak season.
For the backpacker's low band, a quality hostel dorm bed will run you $30 to $25 a night. Be extremely wary of anything under $25.
What does that get you?
That likely means a poorly managed, distant 20-bed dorm, which sacrifices your time and sleep quality. Not worth it. For the mid-band, a decent private room in a budget hotel or Airbnb, expect $80 to $120 a night.
Which, if you're a couple splitting $100 for a private room in a capital city, that is excellent value.
Fantastic value.
So the essential location hack is mandatory to preserve the budget. Where exactly are we going, and what's the benefit beyond price?
We are bypassing Prague 1 entirely for lodging. The solution is staying in local residential districts that are excellently connected by the tram and metro.
Okay, give us the names.
The two primary recommendations are Vinohrady, which is in Prague 2, and Holzovice in Prague 7.
Why these two specifically?
Vinohrady is classic, beautiful residential Prague. Think gorgeous Art Nouveau architecture, leafy streets, and a huge selection of high-quality local cafes, bars, and grocery stores. It feels refined and safe.
And Holzovice.
Holzovice is a bit more modern and hip. It's the emerging arts and culture hub, with industrial spaces converted into galleries and bars. Both locations instantly save you 30% on nightly rates and place you among locals.
Meaning local prices for everything from coffee to groceries.
And that difference in grocery price is significant. We should mention that using the local supermarkets like Little Abila for breakfast items or simple picnic lunches saves a huge amount.
Compared to what?
A week's worth of breakfast staples bought in Vinohrady might cost $15, compared to $50 or $60 buying daily coffee and pastry near the Charles Bridge.
Now let's talk about the true cornerstone of budget success. The food hack. The magic words, poledny menu.
This is where Prague truly rewards the informed traveler. The poledny menu, or set local lunch menu, is a cultural institution. It is not designed for tourists. It's designed to feed the local workforce efficiently and cheaply.
So almost every restaurant has one.
Nearly every restaurant, from small pubs, hoskoda, to fancier dining spots, offers this subsidized set menu between about 11 a.m. and 2 p.m.
What exactly does that value proposition look like?
You are typically getting two courses, a soup of the day, which is usually hearty and comforting, and a substantial main dish. We're talking classic, calorie-dense Czech food like goulash served with dumplings, or a generous portion of schnitzel.
And the price point is incredible.
It is 150 to 200 koruna, which translates to $6 to $8 US.
$8 for a massive, authentic two-course meal in a European capital. That's unbelievable.
The strategy writes itself. Plan your day around eating that massive, satisfying traditional meal at 1:00 p.m. You are full until evening. For dinner, you just need a light snack.
Which effectively cuts your daily food budget in half.
Easily.
Let's solidify those daily food figures.
The low-budget traveler can easily stick to $20 a day. That means supermarket breakfast, leveraging the poledny menu for lunch, maybe grabbing a cheap sausage or snack for dinner.
You're eating well, just disciplined.
And for the mid-budget, you are around $45 a day. This allows for a coffee and pastry at a charming Vinohrady cafe, the subsidized lunch menu, and a proper sit-down a la carte dinner. Just make sure the dinner is outside Prague 1.
Okay, let's talk about alcohol economics. Beer is the cheapest calorie source, but we need to define the price threshold that indicates a tourist trap.
The golden rule. A half-liter of world-class Pilsner Urquell or Kozel in a proper pub should cost between $2.50 and $3.
And if you see the price creeping up to $4, $5, or $6...
you are now paying the Charles Bridge tax. That $6 price point is your clearest indicator. That establishment is exploiting the central location. Finish your drink politely and leave immediately.
Go find a local pub.
Exactly. Where the prices are correct and the beer is often fresher.
Activity costs are another win for the budget traveler. We established that the core sightseeing is essentially free.
Indeed. Walking Charles Bridge is free. Exploring the entire exterior grounds of Prague Castle with its stunning viewpoints and courtyards is free. You only pay to enter specific historical buildings or exhibitions.
Which is a massive cost saving compared to Paris or London, where every major attraction charges $20, $30 just to get through the door.
So we can budget $0 for activities if we stick to walking. A more comfortable, realistic budget for someone who wants to see the interiors, say climbing the old Town Hall Tower, is about $15 per day.
So let's tally the burn rate. The value is undeniable.
The scorched earth budget hostel, efficient food hacking, and that $15 transport pass is totally feasible at $50 to $60 a day.
And the comfortable budget private room outside Prague 1, transit pass, utilizing the lunch menu and having a nice dinner is only 100 to 120 a day.
Compare that to the equivalents in Western European capitals, where those figures are often double, and you see why Prague remains the champion of value.
Moving into segment 4, logistics and budget-destroying traps. These are the specific financial landmines laid out for the unwary traveler. And these aren't just traps, they are straight-up tourist ripoffs.
Let's start with the financial menace lurking on every street corner, the Euronet ATM network.
Oh, the blue and yellow ones. I've seen these everywhere.
They're everywhere, flashing bright signs, and they look official and convenient. They are predatory.
How do they get you?
They utilize two mechanisms. First, a ridiculous non-waivable withdrawal fee, often $5 to $10. Second, and much worse, they default to what is called dynamic currency conversion.
DCC. Okay, what is that?
It means the ATM offers to convert the koruna into your home currency immediately. They provide an absolutely terrible exchange rate, sometimes 10% worse than the interbank rate.
So if I take out $500 worth of koruna and I accept their conversion, I might lose $50 right there.
Easily. If you make several withdrawals over a trip, you're hemorrhaging money.
So what's the fix?
The fix is the essential rule of conversion. Only use established major bank ATMs. Look for brands like Komerční banka, KB, Raiffeisen Airbank, or SOB. They are physically attached to banks, not convenience stores.
And here is the single most important step when using any ATM in Prague, even a good bank one.
When the screen asks, do you want to accept this conversion rate, or something similar, you must, without fail, choose the option that says decline conversion or proceed without conversion.
Why?
By declining their offer, you force your home bank, which uses the standard, much fairer Visa or MasterCard rate, to handle the conversion. This is the difference between a minor fee and an easy $50 mistake.
Let's talk about the delicious trap that smells like heaven. The Old Town Square ham stands.
Yes.
The aroma of that slow-roasted pork is designed to pull you in.
It's an expert-level hustle. You see the prominent sign, 100 CZK. The small print, which travelers miss, states that this price is per 100 grams.
Which is not a lot of ham.
It's barely a quarter pound. A tiny, tiny portion. And the vendor doesn't serve you 100 grams, do they?
No. They cut a huge, generous, irresistible chunk, often 500 or 600 grams, and add unrequested bread. That theoretical $4 cost instantly becomes $30 or $40 for a single serving of street pork.
It's deceptive pricing at its worst.
The alternative is transparency and authenticity.
If you want that traditional Czech pork experience, go to a proper restaurant, preferably one outside Prague 1, and order koleno, the whole roasted pork knuckle.
How much is that?
It's an iconic, substantial meal for two, far better quality, and the price is transparently listed on the menu, usually around $15 to $20. You know exactly what you're paying for.
We must reiterate the transport warning. Never hail a cab on the street.
This is the most simple safety and budget rule. Taxis hailed on the street, especially near major train stations or tourist squares, are notorious for either refusing to use the meter or employing long route scams.
So just use the apps.
Stick exclusively to the rideshare apps, Uber or Bolt, or better yet, the tram system.
Speaking of the tram system, connectivity is mandatory for successful navigation and budget control. Data is not optional.
Get an eSIM, such as Aerolo, before you land. Having cheap data is non-negotiable for real-time navigation and, most importantly, for the official transport app, PID Litička.
Explain why that specific app is a game changer.
It allows you to purchase and validate tickets directly on your phone, ensuring you always have that 72-hour pass active without scrambling for paper tickets or worrying about validation machines.
And it has real-time tracking.
Accurate, real-time tracking of the trams and buses, maximizing the efficiency of your $15 investment.
Let's lock down the optimal timing for a visit to avoid peak costs and crowds.
Avoid the massive density of July and August. Also, avoid the high-priced accommodation spike that comes with the Christmas market season in December.
Right. Beautiful, but you pay a massive premium.
You do. The sweet spot is late October or March, April. This is the golden window. Prices drop by a noticeable 20%. Critically, the weather is brisk, but manageable, and the crowds are light enough that you can actually walk, rather than shuffle, across the Charles Bridge.
And the essential gear must be reiterated. Shoes, shoes, shoes.
Comfortable, robust, and preferably water-resistant. Prague is hilly, and the cobbles are relentless and unforgiving. Think walking boots or high-quality sneakers.
Not the place for fashion over function.
High heels, as our sources succinctly put it, are an absolute death sentence here. Don't ruin your entire day one because of poor footwear planning. Moving into segment 5, safety and comfort. We need to help the listener frame the actual risk assessment.
Statistically, Prague is one of the safest cities in Europe. Violent crime is extremely rare.
You are generally safer walking home at 3 a.m. than in many comparable U.S. or Western European cities.
So the concern isn't physical harm.
It is financial loss due to highly professional annoyances and crime teams. The primary real crime threat is professional pickpocketing.
And these are organized teams.
Highly skilled, organized teams targeting distracted tourists, often at bottleneck points or on public transport where people are tightly packed. They are invisible until your wallet is gone.
So where are the hot spots we need to warn people about?
The notorious one is Tram 22.
Why that one?
This is the scenic tourist tram that runs directly up to the castle. It is always packed, creating the perfect conditions. A tight space where physical contact is normal for professional pickpockets to operate unnoticed.
Any other spots?
High-density gathering points like the zebra crossings near the Charles Bridge entrance and the area immediately around the astronomical clock.
What's the tactical advice to counter this professional threat?
Constant awareness, especially in crowds. Keep your backpack on your front when on crowded trams or metros. Use zip-up pockets or money belts, and do not flash large amounts of cash.
Just assume you're being watched.
Assume you are, and that they operate with extreme efficiency, often using distractions like sudden stop or a spill to create an opportunity.
Then there's the emotional hustle. The deaf mute petition scam. It preys on empathy.
This is the common clipboard scam. Individuals approach you, often looking earnest, asking for signatures for a fake charity, supporting deaf or mute people.
It's a total fabrication.
Completely. The actual attack is twofold. They either create a distraction while you are signing, allowing a second person to check your pockets, or they aggressively pivot and demand a large donation once they have your attention.
The defense is simple and requires zero guilt.
Ignore them completely. Do not engage, do not make eye contact, and certainly do not sign the clipboard. Just walk away immediately. They rely on people being polite. Your best defense is unapologetic disengagement.
Let's shift to comfort, which is especially vital for summer travel. The primary comfort issue is the lack of ubiquitous air conditioning.
Prague, charming as its old buildings are, largely lacks AC infrastructure. Most hostels and budget hotels and even many older mid-range places simply do not have it installed.
Why is that lack of AC such a severe problem in Prague specifically?
It relates directly to the architecture. These buildings are often thick-walled stone construction designed to insulate against the cold. They are excellent at trapping heat.
So during a heat wave?
During Central European heat waves, and we're seeing more of them, pushing temperatures up to 35 Celsius, 95 Fahrenheit, that stone traps the heat all day, releasing it into the room all night. It makes sleeping impossible.
So the essential check when booking accommodation, especially for spring or summer travel, is mandatory verification.
You must verify AC included when booking if you are sensitive to heat. Do not assume that one detail can dictate whether you have a restful trip or a miserable sleepless week.
Finally, a note on accessibility. Prague is visually stunning, but logistically tough for those with mobility issues.
It's important to be honest about the physical challenges. The pervasive cobblestones are incredibly difficult for wheelchairs, strollers, and those who require walking aids.
And the metro isn't fully accessible.
Exactly. It is a world-class system, but it is an older system and does not have elevator access at every single station.
So relying on spontaneous travel is risky for a mobility-impaired traveler.
It is. Serious advanced planning is required to identify accessible metro stations and tram routes, as spontaneous travel can be severely limited by unavoidable flights of stairs and challenging surfaces.
Segment 6. Best moments and disappointments. Now that we've covered the logistics, let's separate the authentic, memorable soul of the city from the financial and logistical traps. We start with the activities that are consistently overhyped.
My biggest time waster, hands down, is the hourly show at the astronomical clock.
I'm going to challenge you on this. It's one of the most famous pieces of medieval engineering in the world. You can't just dismiss it.
I dismiss the show, not the clock itself. I fully agree that the clock face is an engineering masterpiece of the 15th century, a gorgeous marvel of astronomy and mechanics.
But an experience.
The experience of the hourly show is simply not commensurate with the time commitment and the crush of the crowd.
Describe the anticlimax.
Hundreds, sometimes thousands, of people are gathered below, waiting up to 40 minutes for the hour to strike. The show itself lasts a shocking, underwhelming 45 seconds.
That's it?
That's it. You get the quick rotation of the apostles, the skeleton ringing the bell, and then it's done. People often look confusedly at each other, wondering if they missed something.
So the verdict is, admire the clock face, take your photos, read about its history, but do not sacrifice valuable sightseeing time waiting for the hourly spectacle.
Exactly. Save that time for something authentic. Which brings me to my second disappointment. The predatory atmosphere at certain large, famous beer halls.
You're talking about places like Ufleku, which are often listed as must-see traditional experiences.
They're too often assembly lines now. They exist primarily to process large groups of tourists quickly. The most commonly cited issue is the aggressive upselling.
Okay.
Servers will slam unrequested expensive shots of Bekarovka, the traditional herbal liqueur, onto your table.
And if you touch it, you bought it.
Correct. They will charge you $5 for that unrequested shot. It's an aggressive, mercenary approach that ruins the authentic joy of Czech pub culture.
So just say no.
If a drink appears unrequested, simply tell them you do not order it and ask them to remove it. Do not tolerate predatory behavior.
But the best moments far outweigh these traps. For me, the essential transcendental experience of Prague requires one serious sacrifice: getting up at 5:30 a.m.
That sounds miserable, but it is entirely transformative. You beat the crowds, you walk onto the Charles Bridge at dawn.
Describe that feeling, because it's the quiet solitude that matters.
It is silence, punctuated only by the occasional photographer or street cleaner. The sun is rising over the Eastern Gothic towers of the Old Town. The Baroque statues, which look chaotic midday, are cast into stark emotional silhouettes.
You feel the history.
You feel the weight of history, the Bohemian kings, the medieval city planning. Our sources suggest that this 30 minutes of undisturbed magic is often cited as the singular moment that justifies the entire cost of the trip.
My best moment was experiencing the pure, high-value joy of local dining, taking advantage of the hacks we discussed. We were outside the center in Vinohrady at a specific local pub. Let's talk about Locale.
Locale is a fantastic example of a high-quality, modernized Czech institution. They focus on fresh, traditional food and, crucially, high-quality beer.
And this is where we discuss tank beer. I had the freshest Pilsner of my life. Explain why that matters.
Most beer is pasteurized for shelf life, which slightly alters the taste. Tank beer is unpasteurized, stored in large tanks, and pumped directly to the tap.
So it's as fresh as it gets.
Because Locale has such high turnover, the beer is incredibly fresh, crisp, and clean. It's the beer that Czechs drink when they want the best.
I had that fresh tank beer alongside a massive portion of smażeni syr traditional fried cheese patty, served with tartar sauce and boiled potatoes. The total bill was under $10.
A perfect meal.
The vibe was loud, local, and completely authentic, proving the real city is just a short tram ride away.
And we have to highlight the democratic communal joy of Letna Park. It requires a climb. You'll get a workout going up the stairs to the top of the hill.
But the reward is worth the breathless hike.
At the top, there is a massive, sprawling beer garden. It's completely unpretentious. You sit down at picnic benches with strangers, enjoying the city's highest, most expansive, and utterly spectacular view of all the bridges crossing the Vltava.
And that incredible cinematic view costs you only the price of a plastic cup of beer.
About $3. It's the pinnacle of democratic, budget-friendly sightseeing.
Segment 7, expanding the scope. What if the crowds still feel too overwhelming? Or you want to combine Prague with a larger Central European itinerary? We have some excellent alternatives.
If you want the Central European aesthetic without the Prague intensity, the Czech Republic offers incredible depth.
Alternative number 1, Brno.
Brno is the Czech Republic's second-largest city, located in the Moravia region. It's easily accessible, about 2 hours by modern train from Prague, with tickets costing around $10.
And the difference is palpable.
It is. Brno has beautiful architecture, historical landmarks like Chupelberg Castle, and a massive, winding underground labyrinth. But it lacks the mass tourism element entirely.
What's the vibe there?
It's authentic. Brno has a massive student population, giving it an energetic, modern feel. The coffee scene is world-renowned. It's a hub of specialty coffee roasting and cafe culture.
So you get the sophisticated side of Czech culture.
Without the stag parties or the relentless tourist crowds, and it's consistently 30% cheaper for accommodation and dining than Prague.
Alternative number 2, Hezký Krumlov. The picturesque choice.
This is pure, absolute fairy tale aesthetic. Winding river, massive castle complex on a hill, medieval squares. It is visually perfect.
Yeah.
But here's the critical warning that makes it a trap.
What's the trap?
During the day, it is arguably more touristy per square foot than Prague 1. It is swamped by day trippers arriving on buses from Prague and Vienna.
So the hack is essential to enjoy it.
You must stay overnight. Once the tourist buses leave around 5:00 p.m., the town empties out completely. The atmosphere shifts to magical silence, the gas lamps come on, and you finally experience the quiet, medieval atmosphere you dreamed of.
And alternative number 3, Olomouc, for the real deep dive.
Olomouc is fantastic for history and unique Czech cuisine. It features a spectacular UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Holy Trinity Column, and gorgeous central squares. It has virtually zero stag parties.
And it has a famous cheese.
It is famous for Olomoucké Twaróžky, a unique, very pungent, soft-ripened local cheese. It's an acquired taste, but it offers a true regional dive into Morasian culture.
Let's discuss the classic itinerary expansion, the Imperial Triangle, Prague to Vienna to Budapest.
Logistically, it's a smooth transition by modern rail. Prague to Vienna is about 4 hours. Vienna to Budapest is roughly 2.5 hours. It's an iconic route.
But if we're focused on budget, we have a major warning for the middle leg.
Vienna is the budget breaker. You cannot use the Prague hacks in Vienna. Accommodation is significantly more expensive, and activities, museum entry fees, concerts, dining are often priced 50 to 100% higher.
So a comfortable budget in Vienna starts where the luxury budget ends in Prague.
Pretty much.
So if the traveler is strictly budget-focused, what's the adjustment?
The sources strongly suggest skipping Vienna entirely to preserve funds. Instead, take the overnight sleeper train straight from Prague to Budapest.
And Budapest is another high-value capital.
Exactly. Pairing Prague and Budapest seamlessly keeps you within that desirable lower-cost Central European tier.
Or stick entirely to the lower-cost Czech pricing tier with the Bohemian deep dive itinerary.
That route starts in Prague, moves to Karlovy Vary, which is a stunning historic spa town, famous for its mineral springs, and then on to Trees, which is the literal birthplace of Pilsner beer.
So you get variety while staying within that protected lower Czech pricing bracket.
That's the idea.
Segment 8, the Is It Worth It matrix. We have all the information now. Let's tailor the final verdict specifically to the listener's potential travel style, offering a customized conclusion.
We need to give clear, actionable advice for each archetype. Traveler 1, the backpacker.
Verdict: yes, absolutely, it remains a rite of passage. The hostel social scene is legendary, and the infrastructure, the metro, the lunch menus allows for highly disciplined, low-cost travel.
It requires discipline.
It requires pre-drinking at the hostel to avoid high bar tabs, walking everywhere, and religious adherence to the Pledny menu hack. But $50 to $60 a day is entirely feasible.
Traveler 2, the mid-range couple.
Verdict: yes. This is the sweet spot for Prague. You can easily afford a private, high-quality room in Vinohrady, nice dinners away from the center, and the occasional Uber or Bolt when you're tired.
It's romance without the Paris price tag.
Exactly. You are getting a truly romantic, high-quality European experience without the stress and prohibitive cost.
Traveler 3, the family trip.
Verdict: maybe. This one's tricky. It is statistically safe, and children generally love the fairy tale castle atmosphere, the historical trams, and the riverboats. However, the crowds near the center can be intensely stressful when managing small children, and those relentless cobblestones are brutal for small legs and navigating with strollers.
So if they go, the strategy is mandatory.
They must stay in a quieter, less central neighborhood like Letna, which offers more spacious parks and breathing room away from the historical core. Limit time in Prague 1 to early mornings and late afternoons.
Traveler 4, the luxury traveler.
Verdict: absolutely. This is perhaps the biggest win. For the luxury traveler, money stretches incredibly far.
5-star hotels, such as the Four Seasons or the Mandarin Oriental, are often priced closer to standard 4-star Marriotts in London.
And high-end experiences are a bargain.
A chef's tasting menu at a Michelin-starred restaurant with a full wine pairing might cost $100 to $150, where it would easily be $400 or more in Western Europe.
So wrapping up this deep dive, the overall verdict recap.
Prague is absolutely worth it, even with the inflation and even with the crowds. The persistent high quality of the public infrastructure, the architecture, and the incredible efficiency of the value hacks are too strong to ignore.
The essential rule remains the same, protecting both your wallet and your sanity. You must get out of Prague 1 for lodging and most meals.
Your final checklist must include: best timing is late October. Best base is Vinohrady. Ideal structure is 4 days, allowing 3 days for the core city and 1 day for a vital, easy day trip to Kutna Hora to see the famous Bone Church.
Essential actions. Watch your pockets constantly. Enjoy the genuine traditional dumplings and goulash, decline dynamic currency conversion at the ATM, and under no circumstances buy the ham by weight from a street stall.
The soul of the city is still profoundly there, hiding under the surface layer of the mass tourist economy. It just requires effort to find it.
And that leads to our final provocative thought for you to ponder, based on everything we've discussed. To truly capture that authentic, magical Prague, to feel the history without the tourist crush, you essentially have two choices. You either need to wake up very early, pre-dawn, for the Charles Bridge magic and the quiet, empty streets, or you need to stay up very late, walking the quiet cobbles after the Bay Trippers have gone home and the city's ancient stone walls feel silent again.
The early bird or the night owl?
So which approach will you take to experience the authentic heart of Prague?
That's the deep dive. Safe travels, and we'll catch you next time.